Cool, looks like we're recording now, so I'm just doing a quick little show off of my ship. Kind of like what the strategy layer looks like. So this is our base. As you see, we've got a bunch of resources. We've got power, which is pretty self-explanatory. Contacts, engineers, scientists, alloys, Illyrium, intel, supplies, and our income. Basically, the income is how much we get every month, how many supplies we get every month. The supplies are, well, our supplies, which we can use to do things. Intel is also all of these are like resources you purchase different things with. Scientists basically determine how fast we can research things. Engineers use for building rooms, which we don't need to do anymore because we've built everything, and staffing rooms. Contacts are how many... I'll explain contacts in a minute. And power is basically all the different rooms require power to use. So you need enough power to keep things operational. And then we've got a whole bunch of... I mean, I'll just kind of show different places off. So we've got like... This is my room. I'm not sure why I picked that first, it's not very interesting. This is the living quarters. Sometimes there'll be soldiers hanging out in here. You can also like check your personnel list if you want, so you can see. So that's like what my engineers are doing. All my scientists are available, because they, sometimes scientists go on covert ops. I'll explain covert ops in a minute. And it's my soldier list. Got a bunch. So then we have the bridge. The bridge is where it shows the world map. So this is all the different things we can do. I'll zoom out a bit. Which, okay, yeah, that looks really overwhelming, I just realized. So we'll, basically... Oops, I tabbed out of it. Let me go back in. Basically, this is where you do this kind of strategic gameplay. So like, for instance, I might go scan over here to get more resources. So scanning sites are things that you can scan, they'll give you some kind of resources. This will give me alien alloys, the Illyrium crystals, this will just give me alloys. This will let me find a black market so I can use it. These are the different bases of the different factions. They each give me a different benefit. So building faster, healing faster, or gaining intel. These are different missions which we can do. We can do any of the ones that don't have a lock. So like we have the Chosen Strongholds, we've got the Lost Towers mission, which is one of the DLC missions. It's probably what I'm going to do next. And these are story missions. That's my guerrilla ops. Actually, I have to do guerrilla ops next. Basically, I pick what mission I want to do off here. It'll tell me what sort of enemies I'm going to have, what sort of situation there is, what sort of rewards I'll get for beating it, and what I'll counter if I do that mission. So I have to pick one of the three, and the other two will automatically fail. Then there's just the different regions that you make contact with. So basically, making contact with regions increases your income. If you can get enough to get the full continent bonus, you get a benefit. So like here, Africa's is volunteer army, so if I get that, then there's a chance resistance soldiers will join my squad on every mission. The one I've got is the resistance network here, so, which allows me to make contact with new regions instantly. So Asia is really good. I was really lucky and I started in Asia. Asia's a really good one to get early because it's not very useful late in the game once you've made contact with everywhere. Europe's increases the effect of my weapon mods, etc. The different territories are controlled by the Chosen. We've seen them show up in different missions. Basically, there's 3 of them. There's the Warlock, which we've seen. There's the Assassin, and there's the Hunter, who we haven't done a mission with yet, but we will be soon, probably. Eventually we can assault their bases. That's what we've found 2 of their bases. We haven't found the Hunters yet, and that will let us remove them from the game permanently if we beat their base assault. So yeah, that's kind of this area, and then you just kind of scan it, place it until different missions pop up and tell you to do things, or you can pick to do a mission manually. This is sort of the different things I've got waiting. So like I'm researching technology, I'm removing traits, this is when my monthly supply drop shows up, this is bond training, psionic power training. We've also got a covert action, which I can run one at a time, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. Let me just tab out the map, now that we've seen the map. This is the armory. It shows my kill stats for the different things, so like, we've killed 170 of the Lost. This campaign, we've killed 2 Archons, and that'll just kind of build up as we go on. It also shows our cool weapons that we've collected. We haven't got many yet, we've just got a starting DLC ones. And that just basically, it shows me my soldier list. So it shows me how many I have available, 16, 1 person wounded, 6 people unavailable but not wounded. And that'll mean that they're busy doing stuff. So if I go on my soldier list, for instance, Bugsy's not available because he's getting technical traits removed, these people aren't available because they're in bond training, and then the other 3 aren't available because they're in covert actions. What else do we have? We've got a bar/memorial. This shows me basically my fallen soldiers. So you can see who's died in the order that they died, how many kills they've had, how many missions they went on, what mission they died on, and when they died. Sometimes soldiers will be hanging out in there too. Engineering is where I make items. So I can build different things here. I can craft weapons. I can craft armor. I can craft various items. What can I craft here? I can... oh, I could up those, but I need more supplies for that. I could get that, but I won't.
Dad sacrificed the only thing
Or maybe I will.
to get this ship off the ground, and I won't let it be for nothing.
Sure, let's build
might
that.
be a little worse for wear right now.
There we go.
But with some new schematics
So yeah,
and a
engineering's where I build things. Science is where I pick what I want to research. So I could change my research if I wanted.
Hello, Commander.
So yeah, basically, when my research finishes, I come in here and pick a new form of research.
Before my research is complete.
It requires various things to do researches. Usually they just require corpses to autopsy, and empowered armor I need to do mutant autopsy, and then I'll be able to do that, and that also costs some other resources as well. And then once I've researched him, I can build him in engineering. What sort of buildings do I have built?
Came away with a set of coordinates leading to an otherwise uninhabited region. The aliens
Tiger is
certainly
talking.
keep us on the move, one way or another.
You can also like just select the things here, and then they'll take you to different rooms. But I'm just kind of going through the rooms. So we have the power relays, which are not particularly interesting. Basically, they increase the amount of power my ship has. I can also buy an upgrade to upgrade the amount of power that my relays give. Like I said, not super interesting. We have the defense matrix, which basically means if I get attacked, my turrets will help out on the Avenger defense mission. I know you're guaranteed to get one of those, at least one of those a playthrough, so we'll definitely show it off at some point, but we don't have that going on yet. Resistance comms are what allow me to up the amount of contacts I can have with different regions. So you just kind of build one and then staff it, and that allows you to make contact, and eventually you want to have contact with the entire planet. The Scilab is where I train my psionic units, so that's where Lamb has been hanging out. If I upgraded, I could train another soldier, but I only really need to train one at a time right now, so we just have that one here. You have to keep an engineer staffed in here. Well, you don't have to. Having an engineer staffed in here basically speeds up the training time, which is nice. This is my shadow chamber. It's basically used for shadow projects, which are special kinds of story research. And it's also what shows me the little stats at the start of each mission of how much of each sort of enemy are going to be on that mission, and what sort of enemies. Yeah. The resistance ring is where I pick who's going to go on my covert ops. Basically, I come in here and I can assign a new covert action. These are what the covert actions look like. So you can do one at a time. Yeah. So you can do one at a time. You can do it from any faction that you like. And you just kind of toss a soldier on here and pick the reward you want to get. It's very nice. The workshop basically makes gremlins. The deal with gremlins is that they can staff any of the buildings that are adjacent to it. So I can put a gremlin in. I think I've got one in a proving ground in the resistance ring right now. It basically means I put one engineer in here, I get 2 gremlins to staff those 2 rooms. If I put another engineer in here, I would have another 2 gremlins. Basically, you can staff 3 or 5 rooms for 2 engineers, which is pretty nice in terms of conversion. The proving ground is where I craft special things, basically, that don't require regular crafting, so like experimental grenades, and skull mining is what I'm currently researching, which is the use of the skulljack, which allows me to hack advent soldiers. Battlefield medicine, which I'm going to want to buy more upgrades before I research, etc. Fancy armor sets, fancy ammo, all that good stuff. The guerrilla tactics skill, basically, you want to rush this one. Basically, you train new combat tactics, which is there's the 2 squad size upgrades, and there's one that gives a bonus to each class. So I've got a sharpshooter one that gives me my basically you research it. It provides an upgrade for that class, and my sharpshooters have a 10% higher chance to crit hit. And my specialist can crit with overwatching reaction shots and plus 10 aim, I think, for overwatching reaction shots. Grenadiers can crit with explosives. Rangers can crit hit better with their swords and do plus 1 damage on range attacks against flanked enemies. Templars get focus at the start of every mission. Skirmishers get a 5% chance for a free move each turn. Reapers get plus 25 hacking and can't be spotted by security towers. It's not the most exciting room, but it gives basically bonuses. You want to rush it so that you can get your squad size upgrades. The infirmary is pretty straightforward. It speeds up the healing of soldiers, which it can be increased even further by putting an engineer in here, and it's also where I send people to get their negative traits removed, so that's where Bugsy's currently hanging out. And we have the training center. The training center allows me to upgrade soldiers' bonds. It allows me to retrain them if I decide I want them to be in a different spec, which doesn't cost anything. I just have to put them in here for a few days and they'll train completely. And it allows me to train abilities, which is basically you toss a soldier in here, and then you can pick up other abilities that didn't. Basically, you fill out one of the trees as you're like leveling them up, but then you can grab extra abilities in here, which is the other tree and then 4 random abilities from other classes. So for instance, I could give Bugsy the ability to not trigger Overwatch Reaction Fire, which is fairly useless on a sniper. I could give him the ability to hunker down automatically on turns he doesn't attack, which is not so good on a sniper. Salvo, which involves launching throwing grenades or using heavy weapons your first action would not end your turn. Again, not very useful on a sniper. Yeah, Bugsy kind of got a bad roll with the random abilities, unfortunately. But yeah, that's where you get additional traits, or swap your soldiers out what they can do. And that is kind of the strategy layer. I hope, like, this sort of made sense. It probably, like, it's a lot of different things, and some of them are a bit weird, so it might not have made sense, in which case I apologize. But yeah, that's kind of XCOM the strategy layer, and I'm going to stop this now, and I'm going to show another mission.